What's up, peeps? Welcome back. As always, I'm your host, Lee Bentz, and thank you so much for joining us on the AEW Insider. Remember to check us out on all social media, AEW Insider, on all podcasting platforms, YouTube and Facebook, and the AEW Insider 1 on Twitter. Let's get to the show. AEW. Well, an AEW star filed for a trademark, himself and the company. It is for the title, The Bad Boy. Joey Janela has used that trademark for eons, but in the last few weeks, and at Starrcade especially, WWE has been using it a lot to describe Rusev. So Janela and AEW are trying to put a stop to all of that. Le Champion did reveal on his latest podcast that there were some different members in line for the Inner Circle. He was doing a podcast with Sammy Guevara, and this is what Le Champion had to say. One of the ideas originally brought to us was the Lucha Brothers, and I thought they were too much like superheroes. I wanted killers. Santana and Ortiz were perfect. I suggested MJF, but it was like we should keep him on his own. And then they mentioned your name. Like I said, he was doing it with Sammy Guevara. He said, perfect, Sammy's great. Now we need a big guy. They wanted to use a boxer they had signed for the UK, and I was like, nah, he's not big enough. I said, Hager's the guy. So we got him. Well, I told you peeps that Moxley was not done with New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know their version of WrestleMania is next month in January. It'll be Wrestle Kingdom. And Jon Moxley has issued a challenge to the Intercontinental Champion, Lance Archer. Moxley had that title, but he couldn't get to Japan because of a legit typhoon, and they actually stripped him of his belt. Well, he wants it back, and Archer has it. It's going to be a hell of a match. Both those dudes are beasts. Jon Moxley showed up in Japan on a live event, a tag team tournament, and he gave his finisher, the Paradigm Shift, to Archer and Suzuki. Personally, I wouldn't fuck with Suzuki. I think it was a bad move by Moxley, but he doesn't give two fucks. Cody Rhodes did an interview with a morning show in Dallas. They asked him who he thought was the best unknown talent that they have and who he thinks is their best performer on AEW. He said, I would say everyone you see weekly because it's like a list, basically. A short list of people like Luchasaurus, Chris Statler, Shida, Riho, Nyla, people like Jungle Boy, even people like MJF. I mean, you could look at their faces and see the youth in their faces, but it's very easy to kind of see in their performance that there is something incredibly special and they're going to grow up in front of you. And I would be remiss if I don't mention who I think is possibly the best wrestler that you don't know about. That being Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix is something very, very special, and I'm glad we have him. I have to agree. Rey Fenix in America and AEW, if you know them, it's always just part of the Lucha Brothers. But over in Mexican wrestling and AAA, as a single competitor, that dude's world champion and all that, he's fucking sick. Good old JR was praising CM Punk on his latest podcast. He told a story about how Undertaker thought Punk was disrespectful when Undertaker took it upon himself to go tell Punk how he felt about his championship ring gear that Punk wore. But after Taker and Mysterio both worked with Punk in the ring, they never had a problem with him again. JR also revealed that the office, aka the higher-ups, never really supported Punk. He said Punk was not an ass-kisser, and because that was so contrary to the normal behavior of a top guy in any wrestling territory that I've been in, any of them, he was just a different breed of cat, and folks do not know how to deal with them. It was as simple as that. WWE News. Luke Harper and Sin Cara have finally been given their release by the WWE. Both have been unhappy and wanted to go for a while now. Luke will go back to being an independent star. I reported a few weeks ago that he went back to using his indie name. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're not happy, you're not happy, and the money won't make you stay. Best of luck in future endeavors for both of you peeps. Well, NXT UK champion Walter had his NXT UK title stolen along with his passport. He was at the Evolve live event in Chicago. Somebody smashed his car window and took off with his goods. And it is pretty crazy because they said that's a known spot for it to happen at, yet nobody says anything. The funniest thing I seen is that Chris Jericho's website recorded this story too, and they used the tagline, "Who loses their title?" When we know right after Le Champion won the AEW title, it was stolen on him also this year. Video dropped of Nia Jax at the WWE Performance Center training for her return. After I seen her attitude and how she treats people on Total Divas and seen interviews, I'm not a fan of her. She should have stayed gone if you ask me. It must be nice to be the cousin of The Rock with her and the Usos. They can do whatever the fuck they want and it's always okay. Well, ACH, aka Jordan Myles, quit WWE and went back to the Indies. He had his first independent match either coming up or he had his independent match, don't quote me, and right after he quit wrestling. He legit went online, quit wrestling, and canceled all his future bookings. He went online and said, "I hate pro wrestling. I hate you shitty fans that think you know it all. More importantly, I hate the snakes in the industry. None of y'all would have never said anything about me to me. All of y'all can go screw yourselves. I'm canceling my shows and I'm quitting pro wrestling." Well, half of ex-WWE Tag Team Champions Cryme Tymes, their member Shad got sick of seeing them bitch, and he tweeted back to ACH. Shad said, "On that note, shut the fuck up. If all you could do is badmouth and talk down to people and the business after people have gone out of their way to understand and help you, then fuck off. Talent gets you so far in life, but it's obvious your character is one of an attention-seeking ass who wants sympathy while you burn others. Grow up and understand the world doesn't revolve around you. This business, as well as life, doesn't cater to one individual. So either suck it up and do something or shut the fuck up, because this bipolar crying shit is getting old." And that's amazing. He called him right on his shit, and I couldn't have said it better my fucking self. Even though I like Jordan Myles, Chad called him on his shit. On their newest podcast, The New Day talked about being told their gimmick would be playing preachers, which I always wondered about, because if you literally watched, you could catch them on YouTube, their first 3 vignettes as New Days, they were legit preachers with a full choir behind them. Here's what some of the members had to say. Xavier Woods about what he thought about the idea. "Finally, week after week after week of getting in here and doing this, the office told us, sit, wait, we're going to get back to you in a few weeks and we'll have something. Okay, cool. So a few weeks pass, we get called back in the office and they say, okay, we got it. You guys are going to be preachers." And I was like, oh. Because when we first came into this meeting, we said, hey, there's 3 archetypes in wrestling for black wrestlers. You're either the big, strong black guy, which was E, you're the foreign black guy, which at the time was Kofi, or you're the dancing black guy, which was me. And those were the characters that the black guys and girls have. And we want to make sure that we are none of those, because we want to make something new and make sure that the kids understand that you could be whatever you want, regardless of shape, color, race, gender, or whatever. And then we were told, you guys will be preachers. And we were just like, kinda. And Kofi Kingston on pretending to like the idea. And that was the point where we'd be traveling together for every weekend, talking on text or whatever. 5 months straight, really had our connections. So we're just sitting there smiling and nodding at Vince, but we can all hear each other in our heads like, no, this is never gonna work. What are you doing? Preachers, no. We're just smiling and nodding like, yep, we'll take the opportunity, Vince. Also, a Kofi Kingston storyline has been revealed. They did not use it, but it was supposed to take place after he lost his title to Brock. This is what the story is supposed to be. The plan for Kofi was to be the wink link in A New Day. He'd lose matches, he'd do a lot of stuff to make you realize he's actually not okay. We're not talking heel turn or anything like that. He'd still be Kofi. He'd just be angry and out for revenge. And I definitely seen that. The first couple of weeks after he lost his belt, they were making him a little angry. Like the group would be there in a promo and he'd be dazing off. So it's kind of crappy they didn't use that. They should have. WWE will be airing some old Impact Wrestling footage on their network. It's for an upcoming episode of Table for 3, which features Double J, Jeff Jarrett, AJ Styles, and Sting. So Impact was definitely brought up on that conversation. They said you can expect to see footage appearing courtesy of Impact Wrestling, of course, includes highlights from the early NWA TNA weekly pay-per-view era, TNA Unbreakable, and content from select episodes of Impact. This includes a brief look at a memorable segment featuring Sting during his Joker era, Eric Bischoff, and The Bird. Of course, the end of the episode features a promotion for Impact Plus, which is very cool. Batista will be co-starring in an upcoming episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls. There are talks of giving King Corbin a manager. On SmackDown, they debuted ex-NXT referee Jessica Carr. Looks like they're trying to follow AEW, get female refs in the big matches. I reported a few days ago that Steven Seagal and Kelly LeBrock's daughter, Arissa, is having a tryout at the WWE Performance Center. Her class has about 17 people in it. There's a lot of big indie stars. Also in that class is Jwoww's boyfriend, Zach, who appeared on Jersey Shore, is having a tryout. And also Dalton Castle's sidekicks, a.k.a. The Boys, are there trying out for a job in WWE also. All right, we'll get to some MMA news. Last night, ex-WWE champ Alberto Del Rio, a.k.a. El Patron, fought ex-UFC champion and legend Tito Ortiz. I was going for Tito, and of course he made short work of Del Rio. He was in Tito's world, and it showed. MLW. Well, we know ACA had a match there in Twitter he was supposed to, blah, blah, blah. But besides that, it was announced that Teddy Hart and MLW have come to terms about releasing him, which tells me finally Teddy Hart is WWE bound again, and he should have been in WWE for years. He was there years ago, but he was out of control. He was in the business for himself, doing stuff they told him not to do, and he was a little crazy when he was younger. As I reported, he was backstage a few weeks ago at a WWE event. This is no coincidence, peeps. UFC news. Well, Alistair Overeem suffered a loss last night. What is way worse than a loss is that he legit got a huge piece of his lip knocked off by a punch. I mean, like, when this dude punches him, you can legit see his lip come from his face and flop to the other side. After that, he's got a big hole in it now. He's getting it stitched up, but that dude literally fucking almost knocked his lip completely off with a punch. Insane. And finally, Impact Wrestling. They have a special show. It is called The Motown Showdown, and it airs tonight free on Twitch TV at 7 p.m. So peep it, peeps. On a quick note, as one of my birthday gifts, my mom always gets me WWE swag. She did get me a sweet WWE coffee mug. She gets them a lot for me. I use insulated cups to drink my coffee, but I do use these for sweet pen holders. But I want to thank you so much, Mom. I love you. It looks great. And peeps, check it out. All right, peeps, that's it for right now. I will be back in a couple days. Like I said, since I stopped doing the movie things, I have a lot more time to report wrestling to you guys, which I will. Remember to check us out on all social media, on Facebook, YouTube, all podcasting platforms with the AEW Insider, and on Twitter, it's the AEW Insider 1 as number 1. I'll see you peeps in a couple days. Ciao.